I'm fundamentally confused about something about life. Maybe you can help me. I'm still not sure how much of life, of a really good life, should be forcing ourselves to do things versus kind of quote unquote honoring what's right for us. Now, obviously, with respect to morality, with respect to the big stuff in life, those are easy answers, okay? But when it comes to moving through the day, we're now talking here today about starting the day doing something that you probably don't want to do or that you would reflexively not do as a means to gain some other larger benefit. We're talking about going against the reflex, against the impulse. In the Buddhist traditions, in the field of meditation, how is this kind of thought about? And just personally, how do you think about this? Because I think a lot of people listening are probably thinking, okay, great. Like I'll do this if it gives me some benefits. I'll lower my heart rate. I'll have less stress. I'll learn some additional self-control. But I think people are also feeling overwhelmed with all the stuff they feel like they have to do and fight themselves. And I think people are tired of fighting. And I think part of the reason they're tired of fighting is that they're not picking up the phone and going, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is great, this is great. I think that they feel slightly out of control, that they just can't resist it, and it's just happening. And so we've lost the muscle, so to speak, the mental muscle of resistance, but I think that of overcoming resistance. But it's also kind of a philosophical question. I mean, how much of our lives should we be forcing things upon ourselves to be better? And how much of life should we just live and be free like a bulldog, which is the best breed of dog?
When I first started meditating, I was fighting with my mind. And I thought that was great. This means I'm really doing the work that's necessary and sitting through the physical pain, forcing myself to sit for an hour while feeling like my knee was on fire, and my back was killing me. And, I had a kind of sense of pride. I'm able to just tough this out. And I was miserable. I did that kind of practice for quite some time, and it may have had some benefit in shaping my skills of self-control. But, at some point, I discovered that maybe there's another strategy that can be effective that is that's not about fighting with your mind and not about fixing anything, but the invitation is really to make friends with your mind, to welcome this, to have a completely different stance toward it, and to do it with ease rather than with, this kind of attention-ridden stance. I think that is possible. And the approach that we are taking in the Healthy Minds program, for example, is we're trying to do that. So there is a bit of discipline involved, but it's kind of really at the most minimal. It's inviting people to be where they are, and to really make friends with their mind. And not to fight against it. It's not about pushing away thoughts. It's not about, sitting down to meditate. If you're restless and can't sit, that's fine. Do it while you're walking. So the discipline is the intentional use of the mind. And there is discipline involved in that, but it's kind of what is the minimum level of discipline to begin to get these networks going? And that's kind of the question that we've asked.
Yeah, because your lab has been focused heavily on the neuroimaging and understanding what brain networks are activated, as well as the positive outcomes. So this 5-minute-a-day meditation could be done eyes open, could be done eyes closed.
Could be done while you're walking, while you're commuting.
And it shuts down the sort of default mode network and brings higher levels of activity in these awareness and attentional networks? Is that, I mean, broadly speaking, I'm a neuroscientist, but I want to translate this for people.
Yeah, so
because the names of the structures actually are somewhat meaningless, right? Unless we're
exactly
we've got someone in a stereotax, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just to be transparently honest, there's been very little imaging work on the 5 minutes per day. We've done some. And what we've seen in the work we've done is the biggest, and in general, I think this is true, the biggest changes that you see, particularly in the early stages of practice, are in measures of connectivity. And it could be functional connectivity, which has to do with the functional integration across different networks, or it could be in measures of actual structural connectivity that we can image with diffusion-weighted imaging and looking at white matter connectivity. And what we've actually seen with the 5 minutes a day is changes in diffusion-weighted imaging, looking at, the biggest change we see is in the superior longitudinal fasciculus, which, as you know, Andrew, connects the prefrontal and the parietal regions. And it's basically a major pathway through which the central executive network is interacting with the default mode. And that's what we see with just 5 minutes a day of practice. We can see measurable changes in diffusion-weighted parameters with just 5 minutes a day for a month.
It's super impressive. More and more incentive to doing the 5 minutes a day meditation. I guess that's the protocol we're weaving through this entire episode. And of course, people could do 7, could do 10. I'd like to see people do 6 months every day. That would be impressive. That's what I'm going to shoot for.
6 months every day?
Yeah, just do 5 minutes a day for, hit 30 days. And then 6 months later, I don't know. I feel like if it's just the repeated showing up, that's really it. I mean, I have a prayer practice I do every night before I go to sleep. If I fall asleep, I get out of bed. My girlfriend knows this. I'll get out of bed and I pray. Like, I've not missed a night since I started doing this.
I love that. I think that's beautiful. And I'd love to see a study done with pre-sleep prayer and see how it affects sleep.
My sleep is definitely better than ever, but there are probably a variety of reasons for that.
I'm sure.
But sometimes I find that I'm falling asleep while I'm praying. Mm-hmm. And I just tell myself, okay, it's the consistency. It's like I have this script in my head that I'm showing devotion by showing up.
Yeah.
It's just the repeated showing up. And it's one of the few areas of my life that I was able to really remove the need to do it perfectly. I mean, what would that even look like? Yeah. I realize how ridiculous that is, right? But some perfectionist tendencies in me, were showing up. So for me, I won't even say the pride in it, the joy in it is from the consistency.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel exactly the same way in my consistent practice. I think that's so important.